Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Music Monday from the cottage, as it happens to be. Change of plans this afternoon in that the storm yesterday afternoon knocked out the modem for the church and the parish house. So there's no Wi-Fi. And it's in the process of being fixed and all that kind of stuff. But the plans that I had for this evening had to be changed. So fortunately, the Wi-Fi here in the cottage and the rectory, as a matter of fact, is working. So here you are, and here we are. So what I thought we'd do this evening, the original intention was to kind of have a precursor for July 4th with some piano and organ music suitable for Independence Day with some hymns and music and that kind of stuff. Anyway, had to change that, and I'll be doing probably on Sunday one of the pieces that I was going to do this evening, and so on Sunday it will be in recognition of the 4th of July rather than in anticipation of the 4th of July. So what I thought I would do this evening is, given that I am a really big hymn fans, as an HYMN hymn fan, I pulled together a number of hymns from some of the collection that we have here at St. Paul's, various denominational hymnals. Some of them Episcopal, some of them not. The first one is, and you may have remember me talking about this before, this is the Connecticut Harmony, containing a collection of psalm tunes and anthems and favorite pieces, many of which were never before published, to which are added concise rules of singing designed for the use of worshiping assemblies and singing societies, by Elijah Griswold and Thomas Skinner. And if you can see this, this is the front page of it. This is from 1796, and it's really cool. So it's 224 years old. You think about it, the Constitution wasn't even a decade old at this point when this was published. I found this one hymn in here. It's, I'm going to actually need these glasses, that I can actually sing. The tune is called Mir, M-E-A-R. The text is based on Psalm 96. The tune was written in 1721, so it wasn't that old when this was actually published. The text is, "Sing to the Lord, ye distant lands, ye tribes of every tongue. His new discovered grace demands a new and nobler song." And it goes like this. You have to give me a second here to get it in my head. Sing to the Lord, ye distant lands, ye tribes of every tongue. His new discovered grace demands a new and nobler song. I'm going to sing it again. Sing to the Lord, ye distant lands, ye tribes of every tongue. His new discovered grace demands a new and nobler song. I like that. And I'm going to figure out how to actually, I don't read various clefs. It's a music thing. Anyway, so I need to have somebody help me with this. But there's some really neat things in here, I'm sure, of which that was one tune. So again, this is in our collection here at St. Paul's, 1796. Pretty neat. So this next one. So this says, the new hymnal. And St. Paul's Church, Nantucket. And a new hymnal is from 1918, Episcopal. This was actually published just during the First World War, just after. Some of the editors, composers might be familiar with some of them. Certainly the most notable one to me is T. Tertius Noble, who was actually very instrumental at St. Thomas Church in New York City, started the boys' choir there, that whole program back in 1917, as a matter of fact. There's another, Peter Christian Lutkin is another in organ world is a known name. So anyway, there's a lot of still some of the hymns that are in this are currently in the 1982 hymnal, of course. But this one I thought was kind of interesting. The text is found in hymnal 1982. It's number 578 as far as the text is concerned. The text is by Henry Baker from 1866. But the tune in this one that was used here in the hymnal from 1918 is Hesperus, Hesperus. And that tune is not included. So they took the text and gave it a different different music for the current hymnal. But I thought this was really good, particularly for this time of year. O God of love, O King of peace, make wars throughout the world to cease. The wrath of sinful man restrain. Give peace, O God, give peace again. So again, let me see if I can get this in my head. Here we go. O God of peace, O King of peace, make wars throughout the world to cease. The wrath of sinful man restrain. Give peace, O God, give peace again. Where saints and angels dwell above, all hearts are knit in holy love. O bind us in that heavenly chain. Give peace, O God, give peace again. So, O God of love, O King of peace, from 1918. And I'm sure there's some other very interesting tunes in here too that we'll have to pick up. So, moving on to a different denominational hymn book. This is actually the Pilgrim Hymnal, and it's based around basically Plymouth Congregational Church in Brooklyn, New York. So it's a congregational hymn book. And I thought there were some things here in the preface. This is from the 50s. It was initially printed in 1931, but this particular edition is from 1963. And in the preface, it talks about, before I get to that too, real quick here. So if anyone might know, Plymouth Congregational Church in Brooklyn was Henry Ward Beecher was the minister there during the mid-19th century, abolitionist. His sister, Harriet Beecher Stowe, Uncle Tom's Cabin fame. Also, Henry Ward Beecher, interestingly enough, started out his preaching career at two Presbyterian churches in Indiana, actually. He was from the East Coast, but was called there in the mid-1830s to preach at a Presbyterian church. And then in Indianapolis, actually, he was called to the Second Presbyterian Church there in Indianapolis, which is still there. Huge church, wonderful music program, great organ. And anyway, so the Henry Ward Beecher went from Indianapolis to Brooklyn, to Plymouth Congregational Church, and was one of the most famous preachers of that day, big abolitionist, also for women's rights of the time. But here he says in the preface of this edition of the Pilgrim Hymnal, they quote him. It says here, Henry Ward Beecher, in the Plymouth Collection of Hymns and Tunes, 1855, wrote, "We do not think that congregational singing will ever prevail with power until pastors of churches appreciate its importance and universally labor to secure it. The pastor should be the animating center of music, encouraging the people to take part in it," which is why we are very blessed here at St. Paul's to have such a strong music advocate in Father Max. Only by continuously exploring a hymnal can one realize fully its inexhaustible resources. And they also quote here Henry Sloane Coffin, who was instrumental at Riverside Church in New York City, and wrote some hymns that we have in our hymnal. But he's talking here as far as, let's see, with the increase of musical knowledge and training among ministers, church musicians, and laymen, it is natural that the hymn book of today contain a larger variety of the great tunes of every age of the church than it has in the past. In high school and college choirs, students are becoming familiar with and devoted to great sacred choral literature. Were that were true today, the church can ill afford to let the music used in its services be of a quality inferior to that heard in schools and concert halls. For as Henry Sloane Coffin has said, if young people grow up to despise what was given them in the house of God, either in words or in tunes, their respect for the Christian church is seriously enfeebled. So even then, it was very apparent that it's important for singing and for young people. And again, styles change, music changes, and we need to be cognizant of that. But again, music is important to everyone at every age. Now, this particular hymn I selected out of this hymnal is called Once to Every Man and Nation. And my fault, I forgot to turn off the phone. Excuse me. So anyway, this is the tune you'll recognize. It's in Tony Bottell, used to be called Ebenezer, or is also known as Ebenezer. But the text to this is by James Russell Lowell, Massachusetts, 19th century poet, ambassador to Spain and England, United Kingdom. Was a professor at Harvard for 20 years. Anyway, the text is by him, and here it is as far as the text. Once to every man and nation comes the moment, and this is very appropriate in today's world. Once to every man and nation comes the moment to decide, in the strife of truth with falsehood, for the good or evil side. Some great cause, God's new Messiah, offering each the bloom or blight, and the choice goes by forever twixt that darkness and that light. By the light of burning martyrs, Jesus' bleeding feet I track, toiling up new Calvaries ever, with the cross that turns not back. New occasions teach new duties, time makes ancient good uncouth. They must upward still and onward, who would keep abreast of truth. Though the cause of evil prosper, yet 'tis truth alone is strong. Truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne. Yet that scaffold sways the future, and behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadow, keeping watch above his own. So that text is set to Tony Botel, and you'll recognize the tune. I'm just going to sing the first verse actually. Once to every man and nation comes the moment to decide, in the strife of truth with falsehood, for the good or evil side. Some great cause, God's new Messiah, offering each the bloom or blight, and the choice goes by forever, twixt that darkness and that light. So, Pilgrim Hymnal from the early 60s. Now, coming back to Episcopal hymnals, the hymnal 1940. And again, as I mentioned previously, every hymnal, some hymns get dropped, hymns get added, they change text to tunes, tunes to texts, all those kind of things. This one is, the tune is from 1868. It's by a John S.B. Hodges. I'm not familiar with him as a composer. The text is Reginald Heber, H-E-B-E-R, from the early 19th century. But the tune is, and this is also not currently in the hymnal 1982. But the text is really neat on this, I think. Bread of the world in mercy broken, wine of the soul in mercy shed, by whom the words of life were spoken, and whose death our sins are dead. Look on the heart by sorrow broken, look on the tears by sinners shed, and be thy feast to us the token that by thy grace our souls are fed. And it goes like this. Now again, I need to get the tune in my head. Okay. Bread of the world in mercy broken, wine of the soul in mercy shed, and in whose death our sins are dead. Look on the heart by sorrow broken, look on the tears by sinners shed, and be thy feast to us the token that by thy grace our souls are fed. Bread of the world in mercy broken. Now this next one is contemporary, and it's also in a hymnal I've spoken about before. It's one of the supplemental hymnals of Episcopal Church, Voices Found. And again, it's these are all hymns with the text or tunes and or both, composed and or written by women. And this is one I discovered just this afternoon for me. It's called Star Child, Earth Child. It's by, the text, the words are by Shirley Irena Murray, and the music in this instance is by a man, Carlton Young. Both of these are from 1994. And it's really neat, actually. It's Christmas song. And although actually Advent would probably be a closer thing, but it's about Star Child, Earth Child. Really listen to the text on this one. Star Child, Earth Child, go-between of God, love child, Christ child, heaven's lightning rod. This year, let the day arrive when Christmas comes for everyone alive. Street child, beat child, no place left to go. Hurt child, used child, no one wants to know. This year, let the day arrive when Christmas comes for everyone alive. Grown child, old child, memory full of years. Sad child, lost child, story told in tears. This year, let the day arrive when Christmas comes for everyone alive. Spared child, spoiled child, having, wanting more. Wise child, faith child, knowing joy in store. This year, let the day arrive when Christmas comes for everyone alive. Hope for peace child, God's stupendous sign. Down to earth child, star of stars that shine. This year, let the day arrive when Christmas comes for everyone alive. So let me see if I can sing this. Okay, here we go. Star child, earth child, go between of God, love child, Christ child, heaven's lightning rod. This year, let the day arrive when Christmas comes for everyone alive. Street child, beat child, no place left to go. hurt child, used child, no one wants to know. This year, let the day arrive when Christmas comes for everyone, everyone alive. Grown child, old child, memory full of years, sad child, lost child, story told in tears. This year, let the day arrive when Christmas comes for everyone, everyone alive. Spared child, spoiled child, having wanting more. Wise child, faith child, knowing joy in store. This year, let the day arrive when Christmas comes for everyone, everyone alive. Hope for peace, child, God's stupendous sign. Down to earth, child, star of stars that shine. This year, let the day arrive when Christmas comes for everyone, everyone alive. Isn't that sweet? I really like that. Nice discovery. Actually, it makes the fact that we have no modem worth it. And lastly, again, this is kind of an odd thing for me anyway, but we actually have in the collection here at St. Paul's the Armed Forces hymnal. And as it would imply, it is for the armed forces. Interesting, this is back from published in, did I even find a date? I didn't find a date in here actually. But I'm guessing it's probably from the 50s, maybe 60s. And I would be interested to find out, so this is, it's divided into basically 3 sections. They have a Catholic section, a Jewish section, and a Protestant section. And I would be interested to find out if the current Armed Forces hymnal, assuming that they still have one, of course, how many other, if there's a Muslim section or what other sections they've added since this was printed. Anyway, I thought this was really interesting out of this particular hymnal. It's called The Lone Wildfowl in Lofty Flight. The text is by Henry Richard McFadden, and I think the choir, we might have sung this text to an anthem back in the fall, come to think of it. The hymn tune was written in 1927, and the text is this: the lone wildfowl in lofty flight is still with thee, nor leaves thy sight. And I am thine, I rest in thee. Great Spirit, come and rest in me. The ends of earth are in thy hand, the seas dark deep and no man's land. And I am thine, I rest in thee. Great Spirit, come and rest in me. I thought this was a fitting way to close this evening's Music Monday. Okay, so let me get this tune in my head. of earth are in thy hand, the seas dark deep, and no man's land. And I am thine, I rest in thee. Great Spirit, come and rest in me. So there we have it. Kind of a smattering potpourri of hymns from other hymnals and some old and new ones from Episcopal hymnals. Thank you so much for being with me this evening, and have a blessed evening.